Okay. Hasidim geben sich auch Mazel Tov zu lieb, wo Dr. Herzl ist gestorben. Etliche Jahre noch ein Unglück mit die zwei Kinder, wo seinen weg in ein Tag, hat meine Mama gebracht neue Deures auf der Welt. Zum ersten hat sie geboren ein Engel mit ein Jahr zwei ein anderes. Bei einer Kimpet, oh, I forgot to translate. Okay. A few years after the tragedy with the two kids who passed away in one day, my mother brought two new generations into the world. First, she gave birth to a boy, and after a year or two, another one. At the birth of one of them, my mother, the birth wasn't going smoothly, and so my father went into the study house. That's to pray. Aber auf dem Weg hat mich der Jetzer Hora übergenommen in die Hände rein und anstatt mich losen gehen in Makom Kodesh, hat mich geheißen, rausgehen zu meinem neuen Chaver, Britan, a Hund. So, but on the way, I guess also to the study house, following the father, I didn't do this. Okay. The evil inclination overcame me, and instead of allowing me to go to follow my father, to go into the holy pray, the place of prayer where my father was, my evil inclination told me to go out to my new friend, Britain, a dog. Die meistens jüdische Englisch von frühen Stuben habe ich eine Zeit gezittert verhindert, like most Jewish boys from religious homes, I, for a while, or for quite a time, was afraid of dogs in whom I saw haters of Jewish people. Zugleich mit die Skotzen pflegen die Hinde nicht kennen Vertrauen kein lange jüdische Polis. What he's saying is that he saw in the dogs like anti-Semites. Along with the goyim, the dogs were not able to tolerate long Jewish clothing. Und ich bin gewann sicher, als die hindische Sinne zu Iden is an ewige von Dores, and I was sure that this doggish hate to Jews is eternal. It's been there forever, for generations. Und bloß wenn das Volk Israel ist raus von Mitzrayim, hat Gott gemacht ein Nest, als die Klovim sollen nicht bilden der Ruf. Only when the Israelite nation came out of Egypt, God performed a miracle so that the dogs won't bark at that event. Wie steht geschrieben in Chumash, als der Hund hat seine Zunge nicht herausgesteckt. As it says in the Torah that a dog didn't stick his tongue out. at the time of the Exodus. Ja, ich hab morgen gehabt für die vier physische Sonne von Israel, die ewige Freund von Goyim. Yes, I was afraid of those four-legged haters of the Jewish people, the eternal friends of the Goyim, of the Gentiles. Aber zusammen damit hat es mich gezeugen zu Hind mit der gewaltigen Keuch. But along with this fear that I had, I was drawn to dogs tremendously. Unser Schochen, der Fälscher Pawlowski, hat gehabt als Sohn in mein Eltern, Anatol. Our neighbor, the folk medic Pawlowski, he had a son in my age. His name was Anatol. Und der Schegitz hat gehabt ein Hund, mit welchen vielleicht sich oft spielen. So this Gentile had a dog with whom he used to often play. Hat dem Hund gelernt stehen auf die hinterste Fies, der langen die Lappe in der Hand rein und noch solche Chochmes. He taught this dog to stand on his back feet, to stretch his front foot.
His paw.
Sorry?
His paw.
His paw. Okay, thank you. His paw into his hand and other tricks like that. Vielleicht euch hereinkriegen mit die Finger dem Kelev in Gargeret rein. Und der Hund hat ihm nicht gebissen, nur geleckt und gekuscht. He also stuck his fingers into the throat of the dog, and the dog didn't even bite him. He only was licking him and kissing him. Ich bin gerät gewesen, wegzugeben, a Hälfte von meinem Leben zu holen als ein hintischen Chaver. I was ready to give away half my life, to have such a doggish friend, such a dog as a friend. Aber ich hab sich erschrocken von meinen eigenen Gedanken, but I was scared by my own thoughts about it. Einmal hat sich ein Hund zu mir, der nennt hinteren Städtel. One day, a dog came close to me behind the town. In der ersten Rege, als ich hab gesehen, wie ein größer, bräuner, gelichtshoriger Hund geht mir noch, ob ich getracht zu laufen. In the first moment as I saw how a large, brown, thick-haired dog is following me, I was thinking of running away. Aber ich habe gewusst von der Erfahrung, als keine Sache gibt der Hund nicht so viel Courage noch zu jagen, sich noch ein jüdisch Fingel, wie wenn man entläuft von ihm. I knew for experience that there's nothing that encourages a dog to follow a Jewish boy like when you run away from him. Und ich habe sich angenommen mit Heldigkeit von groß Schreck und gegangen am Melech mein Weg. So I accepted the situation with strength because of the great fear, and I was walking. I was continued walking slowly along my way. Der Hund ist mir noch gegangen. The dog followed me. Sehen die, dass die Sakone ist groß, ob ich genommen, beschützen sich mit der Polzug. When I saw that it was great danger, so I started to support myself, to cheer myself up with a biblical verse, which means that a dog wouldn't stick his tongue out. It was in the previous page too, this verse. So a dog wouldn't stick his tongue out. I was murmuring. Wie man hat mich gelernt sagen, als ein Spruch in Begegnis mit der Kelev. Just like I was taught to say such a verse when I encounter a dog. Aber der Hund hat sich nicht wissend gemacht von der Passuk und mir noch gefolgt jeden Trott. But the dog pretended to ignore such a verse, and he instead was following every step of me. Mit der Mol hat geöffnet das Maul und war wiesen spitzige Zehen und ein Rosenlecker. Now all at once, he opened his mouth and he was showing pointy teeth and a rosy tongue. Ich bin gewinn sicher, als geht mich anhappen bei der langen Pole von mein Zeigen Chalatl. I was sure that he was going to catch me by the long side of my coat. The coat that was made of cloth, fabric. Aber der Hund hat bloß geleckt meine Füße, seine Augen seien gewinn voll mit Untertänigkeit zu mir. But the dog only was licking my feet, and his eyes were full of submissiveness to me. Dem jüdischen Engel, to me, the Jewish boy, wie ich wollte gar nicht gewinn kein Aufstammiger von Israel, as if I were not a descendant of Jewish people. Ich weiß nicht, was es ist gewesen in mir starker, die Liebschaft zum Hund oder die Meure vor ihm. I don't know what was stronger in me, the love for the dog or the fear of him. Aber ich habe mir eingestellt das Leben und ihm gegeben a great über den Kopf. But I took my life in my hands, and I caressed him over his head. Der Hund ist zu mir zugefallen mit der Ausguss von Freude und Islavus, als hat mich schier nicht umgeworfen. So the dog threw himself onto me with such an outburst of joy and enthusiasm that he barely didn't um, he barely didn't knock me down.
And where we were, which is fundamental on, and I'll pick up at this point. Fundamental on hat der Hund mich nicht abgelost. From that point forward, the dog didn't let me alone. Hat gemusst sein a verlosen Bashefenisch, heimlos und hungrig. It must have been that he was an abandoned creature, homeless and hungry. Und hat gesucht Speis, und a Menschens Herrschaft über sich. And he was looking for food and for a human to rule him. Wenn hab ihm begeneva herausgetragen Brot von Stub, when I secretly brought him out bread from the house, hat mir gekuscht die Tritt. He kissed my feet, geweint, ich soll ihm reinlassen in Haus, cried that I should let him into the house, aber ich hab nicht gewagt, reinzuführen a Kelev in unser rabbonischer Stub, but I did not dare to bring a dog into our rabbinic house. Ich habe ihm einen Namen gegeben, Britan. I gave him the name Britan. Wir Sachhund haben in unserer Gegend geheißen, just like a lot of the dogs in our neighborhood had that name. Wenn mein Mutter ist gegangen zu Kind, hat Britan gewahrt vor der Tür. When my mother was in labor, Britan was waiting by the door. Hat gejammert, ich soll ihm reinlassen. He was wailing that I should let him in. Not wailing isn't the word for a dog, but get the idea.
Whining.
Whining is the word, thank you. Ich bin also übergenommen geworden von sein Heilen. I think it's Heilen. Als ich hab ihm reingelost in unser Federheisel. I was so taken by his howling that I let him into the fire. Ich gedenk nicht, wie lang mein Mama hat sich gemartert in ihr weiberscher Pein. I don't remember how long my mother was in her labors.
She was suffering.
Yeah, her suffering, yeah, gemartert, suffering in her feminine pain, literally, in labor. Aber ich gedenk, als keinmal in mein jünglischer Leben habe ich nicht gehabt durchgelebt als solche Showen von Teinig. But I do remember that never before in my young life had I lived through such hours of pleasure. Ich habe dem Hund gelernt stehen auf die hinterste Fies. I taught the dog to stand on its back feet und geben mir Shalom Aleichem mit der Lappe and to shake my hand with its paw. Sein horiger Fuß ist gewesen samet weich und warm. His hairy paw was soft as velvet and warm. Seine herabhängendicke Euren, seine gewesen glattig wie samet. His ears that hang down, they were smooth as velvet. Beginning of the next page. Nach der Zeit habe ich mafker gewinn mein Hand und sie reingesteckt, dem Kelev in größen, zitterdicken Mäuler rein. After a while, I let my hand, mafker sein, it's literally to make ownerless, but here it means I released control of my hand and I stuck it into the dog's trembling mouth. Dem Hundszähne haben zärtlich und sich zugeriert zu mein Hand. The dog's teeth gently touched my hand, vorsichtig, carefully. kein Kratzefehler nicht zu geben in mein Haut, that it didn't even scratch my skin. Seine rose Zunge hat begavert meine Finger. His red tongue, now gaver is spittle. So how are you gonna make that into a verb? Say it again.
Drooled.
Yeah, that's it. Drooled on my fingers. Wer weiß, wie lang die gegenseitige Zärtlichkeiten wollten angehalten? Who knows how long this mutual attraction, mutual gentleness would have continued. Wenn plötzlich öffnet sich nicht die Tür von draußen und es beweist sich nicht mein Vater. If it hadn't been that the door suddenly opened, the door to the outside, and there was my father, geringelt mit a minion balabatim, surrounded with a minion, 10 or so householders. Was haben gesagt mit dem Tillim, also lang, who were reciting Tillim, psalms with him so long, bis mein Mama hat gebracht a neuen Sohn auf der Welt, until my mother had brought a new son into the world. Britan hat sich gleich losgetan auf mein Taten sametener Jupitze. Britan immediately jumped at my father's velvet jacket, Jupitze. Wie gewöhnlich klavim, like dogs usually do. Was haben etwas a besondere Sina, Salange Yiddische Polis, the dogs that have a particular hatred of the long Jewish hems. Mein Vater is verglivert geworden von Schreck. My father was standing verglivert, like a statue, out of
frozen with fear.
Frozen, that's the word, out of fear. Weh mir, hat gemurmelt, zurückruckend sich. Weh is mir, he said. He mumbled, pulling himself back. Nu, treibe raus dem Hund, but get rid of this dog. Ich habe Mavada herausgetrieben, so I certainly did drive the dog out. Dem hintischen Chaver meinem, my doggy friend. Wenn ich wollte ihm nicht gewähren, wenn ich wollte ihm nicht gewähren, gehabt zu gebunden mit der Strickel zu der Tier von Federheisel. I would have if I had not tied it with a rope to the door of that of the Federheisel, the foyer. Wie gewöhnlich Goyim halten zu gebunden hin in die Dörfer, just as the non-Jews used to keep their dogs tied up in their villages. Ich habe genommen, gich abbinden dem Hund. I immediately began to untie the dog. Aber meine Hand haben gezittert, but my hands were trembling. Und der Strickel noch mehr verplantert. And I managed to even tie up or confuse the rope even more. Mein Vater hat ausgedrückt Ekel zum Hund. My father expressed disgust for the dog. Und noch mehr zu mir, dem Hundschaver, and even more so to me, the dog's friend. Also fühlt sich ein Gemorra-Bocher? Hat mich gefragt. That's how a lad who's already old enough to study Gemara acts? He asked. Anstatt sagen Tillim für der Mamen, hast du gar reingenommen a Hund in Haus, sich zu spielen? Instead of reciting psalms for your mother, you brought a dog into the house to play with it? Der Minyan Yidden hat geschockelt mit dem Kopf. The Minyan of Jews, they were shaking their heads. Schön, sehr schön, haben sie gesagt. Gefunden die richtige Zeit darauf. Ah, that's really nice, they said. He found just the right time to do that. Britan hat geweint, wenn haben rausgetrieben von Haus. Britan cried when I drove him out of the house. In seine Augen is given Überraschung und Busha. In his eyes, there was surprise and embarrassment. Ich hab nicht gehabt kein schöner Ponem von ihm, and I didn't look any better than he did. Mein Namen in Stettel ist gefallen also niedrig, was niedriger hat schon gar nicht gekannt fallen. My reputation in the little town fell so low that it could not have fallen lower. In Gichen habe ich noch an ärgerer Sach hereingeführt zu uns in Haus. Soon I brought even something worse into our house. Die Pockenmagefa, chickenpox. Einer von meinen Gewehren ist krank geworden auf Pocken. One of my friends had become ill with pox. Ich bin gegangen zu ihm und gespielt in Knäpplech bei sein Bett. So I went to visit him, and I was playing buttons, a game with buttons, next to his bed. In einem an Abend habe ich gekriegt heiche Hitz. One evening, I acquired a fever. Nach mir, next page, haben gekriegt Hitz meine ältere Schwester. And after me, my older sister, got a fever. Und mein kleiner Bruder auch, Itchele. And also my little brother, Itchy, Isaac. We know who he is. A roithorek Zeugkind, a red-haired child who was still nursing. Der Feldscher Pawlowski hat gesagt, als da seinen Pocken. Und nicht kein Windpocken, nor die Embassy. The Feldscher, Feldscher's folk doctor is good, Pawlowski, said that this wasn't, that this is pox. It wasn't wind pox, but it was the real pox. Now, I'm not a doctor, and I don't remember exactly what kind of poxes there are.
Windpox is chickenpox.
Let me just see. I've got this here. Yeah, Pocken by itself, chickenpox. Windpocken is also chickenpox. So, all right. So it wasn't chickenpox, it was the real pox. But smallpox? Unlikely. Possible. Mein Mutter, ungeschrocken von Unglück mit die zwei Töchterlech, mit etliche Jahr früher. My mother, who was still afraid of a disaster, who was still fearful because of the disaster with the two daughters several years earlier, hat geheißen bringen dem Doktor von Zakrochin. She demanded that we bring the doctor, not just a feldscher, from the town Zakrochin. Wie viel es soll nicht kosten, however much it might cost. Der Doktor hat herausgetrieben alle Weiber und Mannspielen. Wir seien sich angekommen zu uns in Haus. The doctor drove all of the women and men who had come to our house, drove them out. Hat aufgeprallt die Fenster. He opened wide the windows. Was eine gewinn gut zugemacht, which had been carefully closed. Sie sollen Cholila nicht reinlassen kein Windele. They had been closed not to allow, God forbid, a little wind. Und hat gerät zu mir Polish, mit jüdische Wörter gemischt. And he spoke to me in Polish, mixed with Yiddish words. Pokaż pupik shegets. Zeig Ziegele, tak, which means something or other. Pokaż pupik, well, shegets, I understand. Zeig Zingele, tak. Show me your tongue. Zeig Zingele. Tak means this way. Pokaż pupik. Don't know. Anyone here has any Polish?
No.
Oh, well. All right. Hat angeschrieben a Rezept. He wrote out a...
You know what, do you know Popek?
Well, yeah, Popek is belly button.
Right.
But, so maybe he says, well, Pokaż, I could look this up, but, well, when it's someone else's turn, I'll go back and look this up in Polish. So he wrote out a Rezept, what's the
Prescription.
That's it, prescription. Genommen die etliche Rubel mit zwei Fingern, he took the several bills of money, ruble, with two fingers, wie es wollte ihm gar nicht angestanden, zusammen Geld, as if it really wasn't proper, it wasn't fitting for him to actually touch money. Und angesagt mir, drohendig mit der Finger, soll nicht kratzen die Pocken. And he warned me, shaking his finger at me, that I should not scratch the pox. Ich will sein gestupelt und nicht kriegen kein Kala, because I'll be scabby and I will not be able to get married. I won't find a wife. Ich bin great gewesen, keinmal kein Kala nicht zu kriegen, aber zu kratzen die gepockte Haut meiner. I was ready to never have a wife, never find a bride. If I could only scratch my pocky skin, was hat gebrannt wie a hellish fire, which was burning like a bright fire. Mein Mama ist gesessen neben mein Bett, zugehalten meine Hand und geteinet zu mir. Mother sat next to my bed, held my hands, and said to me, Kratz nicht, Kind meins, das haben Stuplen in Ponem wie eines in Schneider. Don't scratch, my child. You'll end up with stuples in your, whatever that is. It's what is it? Pock marks, that's good, in your face, just like the Taylor John. Okay, so Jan Kleff, sure.
Okay. Noch hübsche etliche Wochen ist die Haut mir abgeschält sich von Kopf bis Fuß. So after quite a few weeks, my skin peeled off from head to foot. Mit einer neuen Haut bin ich aufgestanden vom Bett, and with a new skin I got out of bed. Der Tate hat mich zurück eingestupt in der Teure und allein genommen lernen mit mir. My father pressed me straight back into learning Torah, and he studied Torah with me. Und dafke die Maseches Avoide Zora, a Gemara, was hat zu tun mit Dinim wegen Getzendiener. And Dafka, he studied with me the tractate of idolatry, which was a Gemara which dealt with the laws against idolaters. Getschkes und andere solche Sachen, the laws of idolaters, little gods, and other such matters.
Let me interrupt. I looked up pokaj. It means show me. So show me your pupik, Shagets. Display your tongue like this. That's what the Polish was.
Okay. Zu Libvos, ich hab gedacht, wissen die alle Dinge wegen Avoide Zora, habe ich nicht angehoben zu verstehen. Why I needed to know the laws about idolatry, I didn't even begin to understand. Aber mein Vater ist gewinn stark verkocht in der Mesechte. Hat mechadisch gewinn Chidushim und geräutelt sich von Hanoah, wenn hat sie mir gesagt. But my father was very keen on this tractate. And he told me the new interpretations, and he became red from pleasure when he told them to me. Sie seien mir nicht gekrochen in Kopf rein. They didn't even come into my head. In other words, they went in one ear and out the other. Die Sonne hat mich gerufen und gelockt. The sun was calling, was beckoning to me and enticing me. Bei einem Azar Shir im Perek Kol Hatzlomim hat sich geöffnet die Tür. So in one of these lessons, which dealt with these figurines of gods, the door suddenly opened up. Es ist reingekommen Treitel Schnittkrämer, ein heucher Dareid mit a modner schwarzer Bord, and in came Treitel, the dry goods merchant, a tall, thin man with a strange black beard. Was ein Spitz ihrer is gewinner langer. One tip of his beard was long, a gekreiselter, and it was curly, und der andere spitz a kurzer und a glatter, and the other point was short and smooth. Der Ried hat gescheint von Simcha und gesagt heuch. The man was beaming with joy as he said loudly, Mazel Tov, Rov. Was is the Mazel Tov Reb title? So what's the Mazel Tov Reb title? Hat mein Vater ihm übergefragt. My father inquired from him. Dr. Herzl hat a Missioner eingenommen, hat Reb Treitel gesagt. Dr. Herzl came to a violent death, Reb Treitel said. Dabei hat zugegeben am meisten Gramm zum Namen Herzl, and in addition, he repeated an ugly rhyme with the name Herzl.
Can you guess what it is?
I guessed, but I cannot say because it's not nice.
Berzel.
It's Fertzel with a Fe.
Susan, thank you for saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mein Vater hat sich verkrümmt über der Miesenwort und gewollt wissen wegen wegen was der Jid read. My father turned up his nose at this ugly word, and he wanted to know about what he was talking about. Wer ist das der Dr. Herzl? Who is this Dr. Herzl? Hat übergefragt. He inquired. Am Schumed, was hat gewollt führen alle Jiden zu der Schmad, hat Reb Treitel klar gemacht. He's an apostate who wanted to lead all Jews to apostasy, Reb Treitel clarified. Aber hat es nicht erlebt, but he didn't live long enough to experience this. Geläubter Eibischter hat mein Vater gedankt und verendigt mit der Posuk Bavud Reshoyim Rina. So the Eibischter, just can't think of the
may we sing when the wicked get lost?
No. This geläubter Eibischter
May God be praised.
God be praised.
And my father
God
thanked.
on high be praised.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And my father thanked and ended with the posuk, the end of the final thing of evil is joy. Das heißt, als wenn Reshoyim kommen darf man singen, which means that when evil people die,
Yankov, suddenly you're silent. You're not muted, but your microphone is broken.
Sorry.
There it is now.
Yeah.
Go back to Das Haste to translate it.
Ja, das heißt, als wenn Reshoim kommen darf man singen. That means that when evil people die, one should sing. Gleich wie Reb Treitel is a Reus, hat mein Tate genommen weiterlernen die Masechta Avodah Zorah. So immediately after Reb Treitel left, my father carried on studying the tractate of dealing with idolatry. Noch ein Shiur bin ich gelaufen zum Haus von städtischen Nogid Reb Yeshua, gedei uns zu sagen, sein Enkel von Städtele Leschner, die Besuche wegen dem Doktor. So I'm immediately after the lesson of Avodah Zorah, I immediately ran to the house of the shtetl's wealthy man, Rabbi Yehoshua, in order to report to his grandson from the shtetl Leshner, die Besuche wegen dem Doktor, this news about the doctor, the Meshumad, the apostate, was hat gewollt alle Jiden abschmaden, this apostate who wanted to convert all the Jews. Das Leshner Ringel hat gescholten Treitelen mit Teute Klolles. So this the little young boy from Leshner cursed Treitel with terrible curses. Dr. Herzl hat gewollt alle Jiden führen können Eretz Yisrael, hat mir gesagt. Komm, will ich dir weisen sein Porträt. Dr. Herzl wanted to take all the Jews to Eretz Yisrael, he told me. Come, I'll show you a picture of him, a portrait of him. In a Loshen Kodesh Bichel, in welchen es seinen Gewinn ausgemalt allerlei Zeichnungen, is Gewinn euch ausgemalt a Jid in bloßen Kopf, aber mit a große, schöne Bord. So in a Hebrew book, in which there were many drawings and pictures, there was also a picture of a Jew with an uncovered head with a large, beautiful beard. Unten ist gewesen ungeschrieben sein Namen, Dr. Herzl. And under the picture, his name was printed, Dr. Herzl. Der Mann mit der Bord hat gleich gewonnen mein der Herz und Sympathia. This man with the beard immediately won my respect and sympathy. Dem Nogitz Einikel hat mit mir eine Sache geredet wegen dem Dr. Herzl. Und hat mich in ein Wegs ausgelernt, a Loschen Kodesh Lidl, was hat sich angeheben. So this wealthy man's grandson told me, spoke to me a lot about this Dr. Herzl. And at the same time, he taught me a Hebrew song which went like this.
Now, let me just interrupt. This was 1904 is when Herzl died. He was 44 years old. He died of a heart ailment. So this dates the story now to 1904.
Right. Okay. Chede katon tsar v'chamim ve'al hakira esh sham harebi un et talmidav more aleph beis.
And this is often Pripyachuk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's in Hebrew, which I've never
Yeah.
actually come across before.
We can
In a
feel
small-
zingen. Chader katen tsar v'chamim ve'al hakira eish. Sham harabi es talmidav more aleph beis. Yeah, it works.
It's a good translation. Okay, I didn't recognize it. Chotsch, das Lidl hat gehabt a knappe Scheiches mit Dr. Herzl, hab ich gesehen darin a Zusammenhang. Even though this little song had very scant connection to Dr. Herzl, I saw in it a connection. Ich habe Geseder getracht wegen dem Mann mit der schwarzen Bart. I thought constantly about this man with the beautiful beard. Was hat gewollt führen jeden in Eretz Israel. The man who wanted to take the Jews to Eretz Israel. In Gichen haben andere Leute opgerudert mein azoi euch unruhig English gemit. And quickly other people stirred up my already unruhig.
Restless?
Sorry?
My
Sorry,
uneasy.
restless, unruhig, restless.
Restless young boy's mood. Okay.
So that song from Pripyachuk was written by Warshawski in Yiddish, of course, and Warshawski died a few years later in 1907. So already the song had become popular enough to get a translation into Hebrew.
Yeah, interesting.
Warshawski used to travel with Sholem Aleichem, who had him sing songs at different gatherings.
Okay.
So it became very popular. Wherever Sholem Aleichem did his readings, he brought Warshawski with him with his new compositions.
All right, Susan, it's your turn, I think, in Einem Tag.
Okay. In einem Tag, wenn Ziegen haben gedrimmelt in Gas und jeden in seine Kremlach, on one day when the goats were sleeping in the street and the Jews were doing the same in their businesses, hat a Stäub sich ungetrogen von Weg. There was a dust that came up on the road, und eus geschält von sich etliche häufige Leiterwagens and brought with it some wagons, ungepackte mit modne Light, full with very strange passengers, fremde und unerwartete, strangers and unexpected people. Ungetun seinen sie gewesen, groß stottisch. They were dressed like from the big city, mit steife, hohe Kragens, with stiff, high shoes. I believe that's
No,
kragen.
kragens is colors.
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 What?
Of the shirt. A color. The color of this is the color of a shirt.
Harte kapelushlich. Hard. A kapelush is a cape.
No, a hat.
A hat. Oh, okay. That's the different hats being described. Mit gegolter Bart, with shaved beards, und mit Wanzen, with mustaches. Einer von sie hat gespielt auf a Harmonia. One of them was playing a harmonica. Ein anderer hat gehalten hinteren Reckel zwei Tauben. Another was holding underneath his jacket two doves. Was haben durch die Latzen rausgesteckt sehr Kepler, and who was sticking out their little heads. Von Kremlach und Stuben haben sich die Tür und Fenster geöffnet, und from the stores and the houses, doors and windows were opened, und Männer, Weiber und Kinder haben rausgesteckt die Kep, and men and women and kids put their heads out. Glanzendig überrascht auf die fremde Pritzen, looking very excitedly at this strange poets, a strange
Nobleman.
what?
It's a nobleman. Britzim, it's like they look like they were noblemen, like the high society.
Nobleman. Well, yes, I was at the strange nobleman. Noch größer ist gewesen an Überraschung. Even more was the feeling of excitement when ot die Pritzim haben genommen reden Yiddish. And even more was the excitement when these noblemen began to speak Yiddish to the Mädlach und Weiblach, to the girls and women. And I think they speak with a funny accent, right?
Southern accent. These are most likely actors and always speak with the Galiciano accent.
Oh, Schein Weibel.
Yeah, Scheinwabel.
Schein Wabel. Pretty women. Geben Sie mir a kiss. Give me a kiss. Red mit a breit Warsche Veloschen, they said with a strong Warsaw accent. Ich bin, versteht sich, gleich gewesen in Dreußen zusammen mit die übrige Jüngelach. I was, as you'll understand, immediately going outside together with the other little boys. Wir haben geguckt auf die freiliche Parscheunen. We looked at this happy group of people, was haben balagert, which they were
Belagert.
They were laying siege.
Yeah.
Lagert die Kremlach. They were laying siege to the stores. Eingekauft Papyrossen. They were buying cigarettes und sich gechappet mit die Verkäuferins. And they were, getting into arguments, I think, with the
No, they were bothering them. It's not argument. They were trying to make them.
They were bothering the shoppers.
No, the sellers.
The sales ladies.
Oh, the sales ladies?
Yeah, Verkäuferins. Yeah, the sales ladies.
Sie seien Juden. Look, they're actually Jews. Haben mir sich nicht gekannt zuglauben. We couldn't believe it. Von Poritzes Knecht haben mir sich der wust, als dus hat sehr haar erop gebracht, die Leid Aj von Warschau. By these noblemen's, what's his
By
knecht?
the servants
servant.
of the noblemen, the local
Servant.
noblemen.
Oh, we realize
We came to know.
that they brought these people, came from Warsaw. They sollen ausmalen die Wend und die Sophiten von seiner Solius.
Salius.
They should to measure the walls.
No, Oismolen is to paint. These are painters.
Paint.
Yeah.
They should measure the wall.
Not measure, paint.
Oh, Oismolen. Oh, they should paint the walls and the ceilings of their
Of his salons.
of the salons. Was hat gor un atzul, which he had a great number of them, of these salons. Zij willen euch übermalen in Kirche die heilige Bilder, and they should also measure.
Not measure.
Paint.
Paint.
Again in the kitchen.
No, the church.
No, in the church.
In where?
Church.
Church.
Oh, in the Kirche, in the church. The whole pictures was seinen von Altkeit abgekrochen, and they were falling apart because they were so old. Über der ganze Zeit wollen sie sein in Srora's Häuf. Is Srora a name?
No.
No,
Srora
that's
is
the
just the prince.
governor. The Srora is power. This is Hebrew. They will be in the court of the governor, of the ruler. This is Srora.
Oh, okay. I couldn't find that word. All right.
Yeah, because it's not Yiddish.
Oh, okay. It's Srora's in his
Yeah, it could also, it's referring again to the poritz.
Yeah,
the
poritz,
the Lord's.
Yeah,
the Lord
Yeah,
here.
right.
Oh, the Lord's yard, Oiftira und Kest, and the apartment and the guests.
For lodging and food.
Food. This is like room and board.
Yeah.
Oh. Jeden haben sich übergeguckt. Jews were looking at them. Dus was jeden wollen essen in Häuf Treifes, the fact that Jews would be in the courtyard eating treif, und noch mehr dus was sie wollen molen Jesuslich, and even so, the fact that they would paint pictures of Jesus in Tifla. And that's another word I couldn't find.
It comes from the Hebrew tefillah, but it means it's a pejorative word for church.
Okay, but you wouldn't in Hebrew tefillah wouldn't be written with a tes?
No, it comes from that word, but it isn't that word. So tifla, it's an intentional mispronunciation of tefillah.
Tefillah, okay. Hat in ganzen zerrudert, really made him uncomfortable. Zweigendig, die kept mehr gebeugen wie Tomed. They were silent and their heads bent lower than usual. Seinen Balabatim gegangen zu Mincha. The householders went to Mincha, to the service. Und Mincha and Mariv in Beis HaMidrash, in the synagogue. Dus davenen hat kein Tam nicht gehabt dem Tag. They just didn't, the prayers of that day didn't have any flavor, were not good. Cheder Jingelach seinen schlecht gegangen in Cheder von jenem Tag un. And the Cheder, the boys who were going in Cheder, they went with bad feelings to their Cheder from that day on. Wo's die Fremde seien in Städtel umgekommen, since these strange people came to the Städtel. Ich hab in Ganzen, okay. I'll end because I didn't copy these pages and didn't prepare anything. Okay. Ich hab im Ganzen los die Gemorra und
Showing long.
Ich habe los die Gemorra und schon lang gedreht sich. I stopped studying the Gemara, and hours long I ran around reisig herum Srora's Häuf, Srora's courtyard, und durch die Spares von heuchen, hilzenem Portan, and through the
Cracks.
The cracks in the high wooden, what is the Parkan?
Fence.
Fence. Geguckt, I looked to the Fremde und Zehre Arbeit, to these strange people and the work they were doing. In Papierene Stormitzen auf die Cap.
Yeah, Stormitz is a cone-shaped thing. Here it's a hat.
In paper hats on their heads. In geflechtelte Häusen and spotted pants mit Farb. It was spotted with paint. They über Leiters gekrochen. They climbed up on ladders. They creeped up on ladders. Auf gleichen Wand, they went up straight up the walls. Sich gedroppet und von seiner Hand seinen Vogel heraus. And they gedroppet is...
Droppen is to clamor. Sich droppen is just to clamor.
They clamored, and from their hands out came birds, farbige und fantastische, colorful and fantastic, was a zelige zetmen Gornish, which you never see ones like that. Wasserlach, windmillen, waterways, windmills, Bämer, trees, Pastiger mit Pfeifelach, a shepherd with Pfeifelach.
Flutes.
What?
Flutes.
Oh.
But the shepherd plays, piccolos. Well,
Pfeifelach, little instruments, flutes.
Yeah, fifes.
Tanzendicke Mädlach, dancing girls, mit zerlossene Haar, with their hair out, their hair free. Vögel in der Luften seinen von sehr verschmierte Hand, flink heraus und auf Wand und Terrassen sich besetzt. Okay. Birds from the air, from their paint-smeared hands, flew out and went on the walls, and they drew these on the walls and the terrace and
settled themselves on the terrace.
And they sat themselves on the terrace.
It's not clear whether these are painted birds or actual birds which are flying away from the painters.
Oh, I thought maybe it's their creations.
It could well be. It's not clear.
Ich hab von Kindheit an lieb gehabt zu machen, menschlich. From my childhood on, I loved to draw figures of people. Ich hab sie umgezeichnet mit Kreide auf Wand. I drew them with chalk on the walls. Umgeschrieben sie auf Scherblättlich. I drew them on papers von Sforum on the pages of books.
Ja, the Scherblättler are
It's the first page of the title page of the title page of the book.
Ausgekratzt sei mit a Nogel auf verfrorene Scheiben, and I scratched them out with my nails on frozen window panes in the winter time. Euch von Leid pfleg ich euch kneten allerlei golems und chayes. And from clay, I used to mold out all kinds of golems and wild animals. Ich hab darüber nicht upgerissen die Augen von die Leid. I just couldn't take my eyes away from these people. Was haben a sellige schöne Sachen ausgemalt, that they drew such beautiful things. Sie haben mich nicht getrieben. They didn't drive me away. Sie haben bloß freilich gewunken mit die Augen und gelacht. They just winked their eyes at me and they laughed. Itche Meierl, hast etwas a schöne Schwester? Itche Meier, maybe you got a pretty sister? Haben sie gewollt wissen, they wanted to know. Ich hab mich verschämt und rot geworden. I was embarrassed and I turned red. Sure.
That's a good place to stop. We're at the end of the time.
Yeah.